Mindfulness for Resilience with Mary-Jo Fetterly, funded by the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation and brought to you by SCI&U for Healthy Living.
So it's really great that you've all joined us for mindfulness, and hello to everybody and welcome. So we're going to take a few minutes out of our day, of our life during this pandemic to just pause, as Dylan said. And the pause allows us to do a number of different things within the pause, and particularly when we pause, I love the analogy of a clenched fist. And if you're holding a clenched fist over a long period of time, eventually what happens is, first of all, you can't sustain it and the body starts to fatigue and wear in other places. But if you were holding it and really trying to do that for a long time, you then eventually create that similar kind of a loop in your brain. And researchers and all sorts of wonderful neuroscience is starting to show that the neuroplastic brain actually responds really, really well to presence. And there's a number of reasons why, but we don't need to get into those. But the real basic reason is that we have these two kind of aspects to our nervous system: the sympathetic fight or flight and the parasympathetic relax and renew response kind of attributes. And those two very different attributes of the central nervous system are really important, especially for people with compromised health and conditions, because what can happen is we can often get into this left side over here of sympathetic loop where we're in fight, flight, or freeze, and it's really it can become very chronic. So often we're lost in thought, and when we're lost in thought, we aren't paying attention to the fact that we're clenching our fists, or we're worrying in the future. We're not actually present in the moment, or we're doing a myriad of things that actually challenge the nervous system on many levels. And the biggest level is that it kind of forces us into that place of, where am I? How am I? What am I doing? Oh my God. And so when we're in that future place in our brain, nothing in our nervous system is going to be feeling safe. Nothing is going to be very resourceful, because it kind of creates this tunnel. And generally, we're going to cause our system to kind of fall into that chronic habit of doing that tight fist clenching kind of action. So with mindfulness, just like I just did now, my body really needed water. So I just pause and I actually respond to my sensory system in a way that trains it to feel actually safe and to also be acknowledged, which Carl Jung and many other great theorists, but I love his kind of concept on this, is that the only way out of something is through it. We have to bring awareness. Well, we don't have to, but we know that by bringing awareness into any state that we're experiencing, we actually are able to stop that chronic loop and bring in more neuroplasticity, more options, more choices for the body and the mind. So in a nutshell, in a very simplistic way, go ahead and do your research, but you'll find lots of great background on mindfulness and why it's so effective. The big thing that we're going to be doing in the initial stages of mindfulness is just pausing and bringing moment-to-moment attention into our awareness. Nothing else. It's really simple. And then the next stage that you kind of work toward is actually conscious relaxation. And this is going to be a series. So as I move forward, starting in May, hopefully you've registered for all 6 for this time, you'll kind of notice that you'll start at a place where you're just pausing. And then the next step will be arriving in presence and maybe noticing your sensory body. And then the next step in mindfulness is actually learning how to consciously relax, how to train your brain, because we have to train it because we've trained it in the other direction. So we've got to train it back this way again. So how to train your brain to do that progressive relaxation that you do in mindfulness. And eventually, over time, that type of relaxation and that type of presence will actually be with you all the time. It will be something that you kind of, like Thich Nhat Hanh said, you walk in mindfulness through your day. That way you can respond to things, you'll have more creativity, you can address things as they arise so that they don't become chronic or something that you kind of wake up 4 hours later and go, oh my God, I should have had a drink, or I've been on the computer here for this long, oh my goodness. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're training our awareness to come into the present moment for many good reasons. So, and the way that we begin, I'll get my timer going here, is we start right where we're at. So you don't need to worry if you're tense, if your body hurts. And a lot of you might even say, well, why would I want to be mindful of a painful body or a condition that I don't like? And in actuality, we can't change reality. But what we can change is that response in our nervous system to what's going on. And that's really, in a nutshell, what we're doing in these techniques. So I'm going to invite you to join me now as we go into a nice, beautiful place of pause in your day. And we'll begin with just the very basic techniques of mindfulness. So take a moment and allow yourself to just find a really comfortable resting position where you're at. Relax your body in the position that you find most comfortable. Perhaps putting your hand on your lap with your palms upright. And then if you feel comfortable with closing your eyes, just close your eyes and allow yourself to start tuning your awareness inward into the space that you occupy behind your eyes. Begin to relax by taking 3 really full, rich breaths on your own time. Each breath, as you inhale, fill the chest, the lungs, the heart, and release tension, contraction, any holding, any tension of worry. Three full breaths. Good. And at the exhale of your last breath, just allow yourself to begin to notice all of the sensations in you, in your being right now, recognizing that this is a unique place in time, this moment. It's the only one like it, and there will never be another, just like this moment. So allowing yourself to kind of unfold into that realization that this right now is your aliveness. And as you notice your aliveness, notice everything else. Notice how you feel emotionally in your heart. Notice where your mind and your thoughts are. And just noticing, there's no right or wrong. There's no judgment. There's just really a kind presence of curious attention. Notice what you feel in your body, where the tension is, where the relaxation is. With your natural breath, allow yourself to notice the movement of your breath. Can you notice the temperature as it moves into your body from the cool outside, warming down the back of your throat, filling your lungs? And as you exhale, can you feel the warm movement of air, letting your body go, releasing tension? And notice how you feel where you sit. Can you feel the weight of your body? Allow gravity to release you deeply into the support that you're sitting in. Allow gravity to coddle and to hold you like a nurturing blanket. The back of your chair, the depth of your seat, the contact points of your feet. Perhaps you notice the back of your legs, and continuing to monitor the movement of your breath, just bringing it to a smooth, natural rhythm, and noticing the space that you occupy in the back of your throat, relaxing it as you let the root of the tongue deepen. Notice the space inside your cheeks and release the tissue inside your mouth, letting the tongue float gently up to the upper palate, and again releasing into the back of the throat. You may notice that if you relax the space at the outer corners of your eyes, softening your face, softening the center of your brow, even allowing the flesh of the forehead to retreat backwards toward the hairline, and even giving permission for your brain to just release a bit away from the skull, relaxing thought. Notice your hands and see if you can feel the inside of your palm, releasing the palms, relaxing the shoulders on your next exhale. Feeling like you could move inside your shoulders and just drape them down your back. Continue to notice the moving sensations in your body. Notice also that they're varying. There may be tension, but there's also places of beautiful relaxation. There may be spaciousness, but there also may be thoughts that take you away. And that's okay. Just come back and continue to stay present in your moment to moment journey of your own enlivened being. As you continue to be in a present state of awareness, allow yourself to soften the outer corners of your lips and eyes again. And perhaps imagine, just for the moment, a gentle smile inside your mouth, at the corners of your lips, and at the corners of your eyes. And give into that smile for a moment. Feel like that smile could be your whole body. With your natural breath, perhaps breathe in and allow that smile to move into your whole body with your breath. And as you exhale, releasing any place that is unresolved for the moment. There's nothing to do and there's nothing to solve. Allow your jaw to be unhinged and your ears to relax. And then as we continue to cultivate awareness of our senses, tune into the sound sense now and allow yourself to hear, perhaps first with your ear, but then eventually with your whole body, all of the different dimensions of sound around you. Notice the close sounds first. And then begin to stretch your awareness and listen for the sounds outside the walls of where you sit. And then bring your aperture of awareness back in and notice close sounds again. Building resilience in the brain by creating more awareness and neuroplasticity. And in this place of paused awareness and presence, take a moment to just feel again behind your eyes the space that you occupy. Perhaps noticing the flicker of light behind the closed eyelids, the movement of energy. Perhaps you notice tingling or vibration in your body. And take it all in with a kind observation. And as we prepare to come back into the room, I'm going to invite you to really do a final body scan, breathing another 3 full breaths in and letting your exhales bring stability and groundedness to your nervous system. And as you release and you take these 3 breaths, noticing perhaps the expansion on the inhale and the beautiful releasing on the exhale. And then on your last breath, take a moment to also notice how you feel right now. And allow yourself to consciously remember the pause throughout your day and the feeling that it brings you right now. And then just like listening, I'm going to do the chime again, and hopefully it'll work this time. And it will ring for a little while, and just let that sound bring you back into the room. And we will have an open discussion. I want you to just take a moment to be in presence and conscious and with your eyes open. And again, just allow yourself to do a little shoulder shrug on your inhale, a little push back of your upper arm bones on your exhale, and release your shoulders down. Knowing that the weight of the world is a heavy one, and we really can't carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and nor can we fix a lot of the things that are out of our control. But what we can control is what's in here and how we respond to all of the things that are coming at us. And in my heart of hearts, I hope that these practices can help you to navigate through the challenges that we all face right now. And together, we can really bring, I think, a beautiful response back from this pause. So if there's any questions or any comments, we love to hear from you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there doing this in a group versus doing this alone? Is there a difference?
It's a great question. I love your questions. So I would say yes. Definitely. I would say yes and no. It's kind of a two-sided question. So yes, there's a difference, because often when you're practicing and you're alone, you're not having to really do something that's external, either touching buttons or even watching something or thinking that there's something that you need to pay attention to other than what's going on here. But in terms of the difference, there isn't really. They've done studies and years of teaching myself. I could say quite honestly that the bigger difference is that I can't see all of you necessarily. So it's for me, because you can all see me. And my difference is not, it's not relevant in a way that it doesn't affect things. It just, I love to see all your faces, but I can't always do that in this situation, but I can feel you all. So I guess really the answer is no, there's no big difference other than what one's personal preference might warrant. I hope that answered your question.
No, it did. Thank you.
Yeah. And so last time we talked about having a little bit of homework, and if you've noticed, when you sign up, you can sign up for this, 6 sessions at a time, which I highly recommend, because mindfulness is not a natural practice for us. We're kind of trained to be the opposite. We're trained to be out there solving, doing, fixing, negotiating, strategizing, everything but actually being here in the moment. So we have to retrain our whole central nervous system around this. And as I mentioned earlier on, sometimes it might be hard to stop, because stopping means, I feel the pain, or I remember the argument I had with somebody, or I screwed up on that, whatever. So the mind will go there because that's its habitual sort of methodology. It's concerned with zeros and ones, the rational, how am I, where am I, what do I need to do, and where do I need to be. And so when we pause, the initial process of it might feel a little bit awkward for you. I know Delynn, it did for her, and she mentioned that. And so don't worry about it. And we set these sessions up to be progressive. So starting next May, the beginning of May or whatever, you could kind of consider like today to be maybe your first. And then I'm going to kind of move you a little bit further into the different attributes of mindfulness, because there are, like anything in life, there's progressions. And as we learn the basics to just pause, then we start to notice things, and then we want to be able to figure out ways to ameliorate the things that we notice in a way that's holistic and mindful. So that's kind of where we end up going with mindfulness. And in the end, you become very proficient at it, and you feel the significance of it, and then you actually have it more kind of wired into your brain, and it becomes easier and easier and more beneficial. So that's what I have to say about where we're heading with this. And it's wonderful that you're joining us. And I think for our community and for anybody vulnerable or in this day and age, I think mindfulness practices, as we kind of are hearing all over on CBC.
Terry had a question.
My question is, as we're all, lots of us are probably new at this and maybe testing things out, what would you sort of recommend, our at-home environment of where, places that we could feel safe, where we could start, things that we could focus on?
Great question. So my thought on that would be, when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed at night, and when you're in a ideally a nice, safe, supported environment, do 5 minutes of mindfulness and just allow yourself to just notice. Ideally, you can start with a big, full breath and exhale. I like to make a sound on my exhale for the first few rounds by doing like the AH sound. It actually trips the brain into that parasympathetic response. So it's basically just and this would be the same breath for Heather. I'm not sure she's with us today. That actually builds heat in the body. So I would just take a couple good rich breaths and then just harvest, your awareness of the day. You can notice, what happened during the day. Sometimes later on, I'll teach you a progressive way to do that. But for now, just notice, what you feel like when you land there. And even just for 3 minutes would be amazing. And really tune in, close your eyes and allow yourself to just take stock of all that is. And then do that again at the end of the day. So when the beginning of the day happens, often our mind's already racing. We've already grabbed our phone. We've done da, 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 da. So this actually trains your brain to just take that pause before the onslaught of things, responsibilities, and all the other come at you. And I think it's a pivotal point to do it in the beginning and in the end of the day. So I would suggest that for now.
Mary-Jo, I have a question.
Yeah.
So what would you say for somebody that thought, they don't have a sensation, as a lot of people probably here don't. So when you're saying visualize or feel what's happening in your feet, but if people have that loss of sensation there, is it kind of more of what you imagine that it would feel like, or how would you answer that for someone?
Great question. So, and I think about this a lot when I'm kind of preparing, and also when I'm teaching adaptive yoga or whatnot. But my whole theory on this is kind of very Moshe Feldenkrais, it's not Descartes, because I don't believe in a fragmented body. I feel, and I'm in a high level quad, I'm a 4-5-6 complete. But I still can notice my feet. Now I notice sensation or tingling, vibration. I might not feel that tactile sensation. And granted, I probably had very good body awareness because I taught yoga for 30 years before being paralyzed or becoming paralyzed. But I still, and I've tested this theory out with many of my students, and we don't think we can feel because we've been told that, this is an inert mass of tissue now. But we still have a nervous system that goes there. It just doesn't have the complete linkage. We still have peripheral nerves. We still have lymph functioning and all sorts of other things, reflex arcs. So I really encourage you to kind of remember your whole body when you do mindfulness, and don't discount any sensation or no sensation, because both are okay, and both don't mean that you are getting mindfulness or not, because just tuning in is really the journey. And perhaps you may notice the more you tune in, the more you might feel. Generally, that's the case.
Hi, this is Dave. I have a question about taking the deep breaths. I'm a C5-6 quad, and sometimes the deep breaths are deeper than others. And the feeling of the deep breath, the full deep breath is great. But sometimes they don't always come. And like letting that go, I don't know, just suggestions for
Good.
handling that, if you will.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. That's a great question. So when I first started doing deep breathing, I would get spasms in my diaphragm. And it took a while for my diaphragm to relax around, more volume of air. And part of that is the diaphragm is part of our stabilizers. And so quads generally will recruit diaphragm muscles to hold ourselves up. So I would recommend practicing your deep breathing when you're lying down, and when there isn't that extra kind of burden of holding yourself up, which for most people with any type of a disability isn't, even able-bodied people, when we hold ourselves up, there's a whole group of muscles that are, those stabilizer, the axial spine, that just don't relax no matter what you try to say to them. So do it lying down initially to train the diaphragm to receive, and also, the whole body to essentially reprogram that kind of bigger volume of air. And the other thing that I wanted to say about that is, you want to think about it being effortless. So the more you, initially right now for you, Dave, I would say the more you can just take a nice big breath in and do it effortlessly, but still consciously, and letting your exhales out as well effortlessly. Think of that word. The more you're going to create a positive response in your nervous system, and you'll build up to the volume that you really love, in more than one breath over time. Does that help?
as a follow-up to that, maybe, and that helps. Yeah, thank you. So I'm assuming, like if you stretch, maybe some other quads can relate. Okay, so right there, had a little bit more effort, got a nice deep breath there, but there was more effort involved.
Yeah.
Like,
That's normal. That's okay. The effort, I mean, clearly, we're working with compromised muscles, so we will need to use effort. But I'm suggesting that for a while, train your system where you don't have to exert a lot of effort to hold yourself up as well as breathing, so that you then can create these bigger, more conscious breaths that do take a bit of effort without any kind of reaction from the nervous system. I think that's where I would go with it.
Thank you.
Can I answer, Dave, for just a second with something that I find helpful? If that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Just with some stuff I've done with the yoga and Pilates, and I'm a C5 as well, Dave. So I find that as long as I'm breathing deep and trying to push my diaphragm area out, if that makes sense, and not raising my shoulders at the same time, you're getting a better breath. It's going in, and rather than doing this and hunching up, that's not really helping you. I don't know if that's helpful at all, but that's kind of how I've been training my breathing a little bit, and I've been injured for 30 years. So this is like something I should have learned years ago that I've only started doing in the last 2. So
I appreciate you sharing that, because I've been hurt. I've been hurt over 30 myself, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I should have learned this long ago.
Yeah, it's very a conscious thing, trying to hold your shoulders down and get my breath at the same time.
Great
suggestion. Great comment.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I have a question around pain. When you're talking about the body awareness, I was realizing that I have, like right now, I have a shooting pain down one side, like pulsing, and it's distracting. I don't know how to relate to it, is what I'm saying, especially when I'm trying to meditate, because I spend a lot of time trying to block out pain so I can function. But if I tune in, then I'm making the pain more conscious, and then I don't know how to, it's distracting me. I don't know how to relate to it well in general, but then also when I'm trying to meditate, because it seems like the opposite of what I'm normally trying to do is tuning it out just so I can go about my day. But
this is a great question. It's a question I think that's burning, through all of the portals of science and various different ways right now. And the research around neuroplasticity is such that, for the most part, when we have these chronic pain conditions, they set up a bit of a loop in the brain. What's wired together stays together, and they kind of basically close off our options. So the idea for you would be in mindfulness to, it seems, as you said, counterintuitive, why be aware of it when I want to escape from it. But in fact, the awareness is bringing you more options. So what I would suggest initially is that you acknowledge it, just like you might acknowledge the nasty, kind of thoughts around the pain, or, whatever else is going on regarding the pain. But you also, and you acknowledge it without any need to fix it. It's just acknowledgement. And so part of what we're doing in mindfulness is we're identifying something, but we're not going to identify with it. So when you acknowledge it, you take it out of the personal and you put it into a more impersonal, in a way, objectified, not subjectified context, so that you can then notice the other things that are actually going on at the same time, your breath, the heat in your body. And so you start to kind of like a gardener that's, going out after this really crazy overgrown weeded garden bed with couch grass. You start pulling those, kind of repetitive thought patterns out, and you replace them with just awareness of some other area, some other attribute, sound, some other sensation. And so you start to show the nervous system that actually there's not just pain going on, but there's actually other things going on. And the focal point on the pain is creating that tunnel type of vision where everything else becomes, way out there, like a dream state that you can't even imagine accessing. So, ironically, and like the paradox of life that we are in, the only way out of the pain is through it, and through awareness. You can, there's, so much research right now that shows that we can actually repattern and reprogram a lot of the chronic pain. Now, I'm not saying this is a panacea for, a cure-all, but I am, myself in a lot of pain, and I use it, and I notice the effect of it and the benefits. So I would encourage you to just stay with it and do more, mindfulness, and so that you can kind of get through that portal of, it being the dominating thing that overrides your nervous system, to it being one of the things that is happening all and amongst this whole global being of our bodies.
Okay. Yeah, the other thing that sometimes I can realize that sometimes in blocking it, I don't even realize that a small change, shifting my position or doing some stretching can make it go, can deal with it. Instead of just like getting angry and trying to fight through it. It's like, well, if I just shift or even a simple stretch might make it go away. So like tuning in.
Love it. Yeah, it's your gift in some ways. It's going to teach you, what you need to let go of and how. And great comment. I love it.
Thanks.
So I think we're coming to an end. Now, what I'd like to do is just encourage you to sign up for all the sessions so that you have, this place for your nervous system to learn something, because mindfulness is like a new language. You're not gonna get it right away, and you're not gonna feel comfortable with it right away. And when you sign up, you don't have to then sign up every week, which makes your life easier. And the other thing that who we are, we're a group out of Toronto, the University of Toronto Rehabilitation Sciences Department, a great group of people, and our name is SCI&U, and we run a really amazing and quite innovative coaching program for people predominantly with spinal cord injury, health coaching. So that's how we came about, and that's where this all came from. So also thank you to the Craig Nielsen Foundation for your kind and generous grant. And we'll see you next week, I hope.